everybody. Calling tonight's regular council meeting to order on November 23rd. We're recording.
Yes.
To start my spiel all over again. Please read the sunshine notice.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the 2021 meeting dates was published in the Courier News and the Burnsville News on December 3rd, 2020, and posted at the Municipal Complex and the Borough Library. Action may be taken.
Also, a public service announcement. I think we have to push our button so we have the red light on and our microphones.
No, I think the light, if the light is...
Our light
Yeah,
was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to push it on. No, mine was off.
Should I just do that one more time?
Check, check, check. Please stand for the flag stand.
Sounds like Step Brothers.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Chimenez?
Here, thank you.
Council President Corleano?
Yeah, here.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Here.
Councilman Lemma?
Here.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Sweeney?
Still here.
Mayor Skinner?
Here. Okay, moving on to public comments, 5 minutes per person for non-agenda items. Policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. Comments may be made on any non-agenda subject pertaining to borough issues. Comments pertaining to public hearings should be saved for that section of the agenda. There'll be no debating between residents. Comments should be addressed to the mayor and council at the public microphone. Okay. Nothing? Since you're the only public. Closing the public comment section. Moving on to old business.
Two items, just following up, maybe these have been addressed. The fire chief had requested access to the finance systems from his computer at the firehouse. Has that been,
I've been working on that.
okay, still an open issue?
It's still an open issue, but I am working on it. There is some different issues that we have to deal with
Okay,
that.
all right. If you need help from myself or one, we might be able to,
Make sure the computer's turned on.
reboot. Yeah. But, okay. And then secondly, it was a question that had come up. I don't know if we had an answer, maybe someone on the council knows. There's an inordinate number of people who try to cut through Park Avenue because their GPS is telling them that that's still a valid street. Is there a central repository that one notifies that says that that street no longer exists?
Oh, it's like Google Maps or something?
Exactly, or they may go to a source of some sort, and I figure there has to be, because they're constantly adding streets and vacating streets, and I just don't know what that source might be.
You can go onto Google Maps when you get the directions, and you can report problem.
Correct, but there's 100 of those sources out there. There's Apple Maps.
There's no central.
There is no central repository that anyone knows of. Okay, just a thought.
Under old business, I guess, because it's come up a few times, the train horns. I've been in contact with New Jersey Transit, their public affairs, not their public affairs people, but the person that mayors and public officials deal with. People have been inquiring about the quiet zone we have 3 grade crossings in town, Holland Avenue, Park Avenue, and the private grade in their yard, in the Gladstone yard / terminal / station. There's a whole, and I think Burnsville's putting some money aside to look into it. I don't think we're going to be applicable for any of these, but I just got the last email today. There's people we talk to in Department of Transportation, the state, and also transit, so we can put together basically like a public hearing or public information center. So stay tuned, more will come, but just letting you know that I've sort of been working on that in the back burner. Some of the things, if we did a quiet zone, if all the stars align and we could do that, and then the borough takes responsibility for the grade crossing, not New Jersey Transit. It's not free. Like, we have to pay for all the upgrades. There's a lot of work that you have to do that we would be responsible for paying. So there's a lot to this. It's not just, oh yeah, we'll make a quiet zone. So that's why I kind of want to get the people involved that would help make this happen in the same room with maybe some of the residents that are interested down the road, just so, I mean, I have an idea on some of the process, but these are the experts, and I think if people found out it would be like $500,000 per grade crossing to do this, among all the other things that would go into it, and some you can't because where they are, at least they realize it might not be able to be done. But stay tuned, and I'll get more of that. It's not happening this year, but it'll happen, you know, next year, I guess. If we can't get together for for dinner, we're certainly not putting together this meeting, but I am looking into that, so we know. Any other old business?
Quick update, if you remember from several council meetings ago, we had okayed appraisal money from the town for John Smith's property on Branch Road. And he did send in his half of the money, and so those appraisals are moving forward, so just to let you
Good
know.
news.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other old business?
I think my item is under new business.
Okay.
It's kind of in between.
Okay. We'll move, 6A, we'll move to in-between business? No, new business.
Okay, I had sent out an email. I'd been contacted by a resident who's one of the men's basketball players that historically has been playing in an open gym and pickup games on Tuesday nights when we, you know, pre-COVID. The request is that we bring that back. My understanding is that it was kind of done with a nod and a wink when Diane Becker was the recreation chairman. They passed the hat to cover the janitorial expense each time they do it. But Dan Dolan has absolutely no information on it, and he's basically kicked it to us. And my thought would be that any resident can make a borough property request, as long as we're willing to open up the gym to them. I'd like to be able to go back to that person and say, look, you fill out this property request form. Somebody's going to have to put up their insurance, so that if somebody gets hurt, we know there's coverage. And just treat it like any other request that comes in, and as long as there's no conflict with recreation basketball, they can use the gym for whatever 7 to 9 on Tuesday nights, whatever the time frame requested is.
John, I think that's a great idea. I wonder, does it set any precedent for other requests to come in of, I want to have a birthday party in the gym, or I want to do this? So
Sure,
just wondering about that.
And there have been those kind of requests over the years, as long as there's no conflict.
And Sean, your method would require insurance policy.
Well, the borough's method that's already in place requires it, yes.
And for a birthday, somebody wouldn't likely
Well-
take out
well,
insurance policy, but they
You'd be
could.
surprised.
Well,
What
you know what, they'd be more likely to request this, the upper floor at the firehouse for a birthday party, in which case I think, even though the fire company, I believe, has control of it, I believe they would still have to satisfy, you'd still want insurance in case somebody fell down the stairs or got hurt in the parking lot.
Yeah.
No, I agree, I think we should allow it with the
Yeah.
appropriate
I think it's good for
insurance and
recreation.
everything else, it's a benefit for the residents.
If they can show insurance coverage, that's fine. As a practical matter, if that doesn't happen, then.
Well, if they
it
show
could happen.
insurance coverage, it's gonna come to us with that request,
With
it's
the
gonna go to
request.
you.
That's fine. We can certainly look at that, but as a, less formal matter, a practical matter, maybe we can have it occur under the banner of recreation. Recreation, where Dan Dolan says, this is open night for basketballs, or whatever it is. And then those guys meet there, but they're covered then by our insurance because it's a recreation program.
But then it needs our supervision and all that.
The other
I
problem is
don't know about that.
Right, well, I feel like if you had an open basketball night, it would be so crowded, cause kids are waiting to get in there to play, so, that's the only thing, don't get me wrong,
With this open night, I wouldn't wanna be a 12-year-old trying to get on the floor with these guys running around. I mean, it's like a herd of elephants.
right, I know, that's what I'm saying.
But I think if it, like, they apply for it, they have the
Well,
gym that time rather than,
what
hey,
about
wait,
the-
we're here, now we wanna play, we wanna play, and I think
Yes,
it's,
it's any option.
yeah.
Sure.
Look, we have a resource, it's not being used most nights.
Right.
Well,
group of
and
residents
basically,
wanna
this
use
is,
it.
this is basically, a post-COVID request. We shut the gym down.
Sure.
The open gym in the afternoons it was a different set of issues. That's where we had some of the problems with, kids being unsupervised in there. And to me, you brought up the issue of a precedent. If going through the borough property request, we're documenting, if somebody's is responsible, so that if a group of parents wanted to have open gyms so their kids could go play basketball indoors during the winter time from 3 to 5, we'd have the precedent in place that they need to come in and they need to do the borough property request so that we know that there's somebody who's gonna be responsible to monitor it.
I do like that idea.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, there's kind of a dovetail there, in that, sure, if you wanna do, if you wanna do that, somebody's gotta step up.
Mhm.
You know, and then they can't say, well, the old guys, you know, nobody made them fill out a form.
Yeah.
I don't
And I
think they
say
need the
that
supervision,
because
but
I'm an old guy.
they need the form.
Right,
They
'cause
need
they're
the
all
per-
over 18,
Yeah.
barely, but.
And our regulators have
Substantially.
it so that the administrator can set additional terms. So the additional term, if it's young people, is supervision.
Right.
We can do that. It's not arbitrary at that point.
The other problem is that once they're in the gym and they've played in the gym, we have to set a time that they have to be out, otherwise Anthony will be here forever.
Mhm.
And he has to spray the gym down after everybody uses it so that it's
Okay.
sanitized after, I know COVID is not,
We'll give them a defined
As
time,
president-
and
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it has
that's
to be
part of the
earlier,
they would
application.
have to have a defined time because we still have to
Yeah.
sanitize.
Yeah.
But that's,
We
but
still
that's,
have to clean.
that's even better that they're filling out a form and we're saying,
Right.
you can play there, here are the parameters, we need insurance and here are the parameters, you have to be out of there by.
And let them know, like, you know, like, we're not being arbitrary with, like, you need an hour, it's because Anthony's waiting to clean up. Like,
I think
if
they-
they know that, they'll be
I think
respectful.
They know.
they'll be happy to play basketball.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they're, I don't know if you've seen it, they're very, very competitive.
So we have to
John,
have
the
a
only thing I would
whistle.
ask, a few, way back, 6 or 8 months ago, we had asked Dan Dolan to develop some guidelines for the use of the gym by independent groups, not rec. And I would just ask that we have those guidelines in place so that they would follow them just like everyone else.
Fair
And
enough.
it's the simple stuff, whatever
Yeah.
Dan, Dan I think knows what to do.
He's doing a great job.
Okay.
All right,
Dan just didn't wanna have the responsibility of, I mean, he viewed it as, we opened up the gym on a very limited basis for rec basketball. And, you know, so he's taking a very conservative reopening approach of the gym and deferring to us.
I think we should be that way.
yeah. All right,
Okay.
any other new business or
One quick-
semi-new business or?
One quick discussion I had alluded to, we bring it up at this meeting. Should this be the juncture where we make masks optional in town hall? So, Nancy, I know you're following the CDC guidelines, and Somerset County is under substantial infection. So I looked up what that is under the revised CDC guidelines, which change every week. That means 50 cases of COVID per 100,000 people. It is likely that that rate will exist for the rest of our lives. Having said that, virtually any business that one goes into in New Jersey right now, masks are optional. And obviously, you know, telling vaccinated people that you have the option of removing it and you're assessing your own risk when going in there. Should this be something we afford to the residents, or should we mandate that, you know, tougher restrictions be in place? So, you know, I believe a lot in you know, making decisions to protect yourself. And you know, I'm triple vaccinated, and I choose the risk of not wearing a mask. And you know, there's still a chance that I can get COVID, although it's very unlikely. And if I do get it, the chances are that I won't be seriously ill. Should we afford that to other people just because we're a free society? So that's the question. Do we maintain mandatory masks for the public entering their municipal building, or do we make it optional?
We still have a few employees that are not vaccinated,
That's their choice.
which I understand. We also, as of November 18th, and I just looked it up today, we have 15 cases of COVID in Peapack Gladstone. And it has gone up significantly in the last 3 weeks. So that's,
It'll go up, it'll go down. Right now, you have 6.1 million people vaccinated. You have about 1.7 million people who have gotten it. It's not that many left, you know, who haven't been vaccinated.
I think the advantage we have too, like on like ShopRite or something like that, like we don't have a lot of foot traffic.
And for the number of employees we have a relatively pretty spacious building.
Right. Yeah, the employees are spread out. I mean, there's not a lot of contact with the, except for the police department, they have different things that they do. But like if an employee comes into the town hall, you know, we have the barriers,
Right.
which I think are great for a number of reasons besides COVID. But
Yeah, I should say, I don't object to mandating that employees who have not been vaccinated wear masks
Yeah.
or get tested twice a week at their expense. But the question I'm asking about is the public right now.
Actually, I have a question for Nancy. Nancy, you're here every day and we're not. Is this something you feel comfortable, you might feel comfortable with, or you're not?
I mean, I wear my mask when I go into the hallway, and we have residents that come in and out of here that do not put a mask on, even though there's signs that say you need to, and I do not
You
say
don't,
anything
you
to
don't
them.
police.
I don't police them. I don't police them. I say that, and some of them will say, oh, should I have one on? I said, well, we ask that you do, and I just leave it at that.
Well, so we could also suggest people wear masks.
You know what, actually, I like that that language, and not optional, but we request that you wear a mask.
And a lot of stores have that, you know, like
Yeah, most stores do.
the hardware store, which I seem to be going up to a lot in Chester, it says, you know, we ask, it's optional, but if you don't have it, you're on the honor system, we would like you to wear one, and but if
I
you're
mean,
vaccinated, you don't.
It's like we're a couple of years into this now. I mean, everyone is familiar with the issue.
Right, come
And-
March,
and
we'll be entering year 3.
Yeah, but you can't do that if we're telling our staff they don't have to wear them. You can't say, we would prefer you wear masks, and they come in and our staff has no masks on.
And no vaccinations in some cases.
I mean, if somebody comes up to my door, I put my mask on. Just because if they have their mask on or I put it on. I'm fully vaccinated, but I still don't take the chance.
But I think that's
of
gonna
not.
be everybody's choice going
Right, and that's my
forward.
choice to
Yeah.
do that. And like I said, I don't ask if somebody walks in without a mask on. I don't stand there and say you have to put a mask on or we're not helping you.
So essentially, we're practicing an
Right.
optional mask program. Should we codify that by modifying the signs in the front saying we suggest you wear a mask, but not requiring it? That's the question.
Right, we can do that. That's not a problem.
Bedminster does not require masks in their town hall. I'm sure other towns do require masks. It's just, you know, what society do we want to have for the next decade? And how do we want to live and function in?
I know some town halls that are still not open to the public.
Yeah.
I
And the
mean, and I
schools are
talked
still
to-
fully masked.
Yeah.
I mean, is it me, but I remember I remember when you couldn't walk into a bank wearing sunglasses or a hat. And now we're walking into all these official places wearing masks. I mean, to me, that's mind blowing. You know, I mean, everybody looks like a criminal when they walk in now.
So anyway, that's the consensus question that I have for the council.
I like the request that you wear a mask, but not make it mandatory.
Okay.
Don, are the Bedminster employees required to wear masks?
I don't know off the top of my head, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
You know, I'm just thinking about my day-to-day travels in town. I'll go to the Gladstone Deli, you don't have to wear a mask.
Right.
Could wear a mask. Go to the Peapack Gladstone Bank, you don't have to wear a mask. Could wear a mask. I think you have to wear a mask in the post office because it's a federal facility.
Mm.
Why don't we take the position where we post something that says masks suggested but not required? Masks strongly suggested but not
I
required.
wouldn't even, me personally, I would use more, we suggest that you wear a mask and not put it, but it's your choice, not put that extra caveat.
Not say you
All right.
shall,
Yeah,
but
All
more
right.
leave it in the
Right.
likely wear it category.
if we say you will, then that means you have to, but if we
Right.
say we suggest, then just leave it at that.
Right.
So am I hearing that we're going to drop the mask requirement? Is that what I'm hearing?
We're gonna drop the mandatory language.
Mandatory, right.
Language, right. And I think let's see where we are after the holidays.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of, I mean, I know my college student is back and there will be others.
The fourth
I feel like
wave
fish, they
is,
stink after 3
Yeah.
days.
So we're gonna do.
It's picking up again,
yeah, the
so.
fourth wave is here, so the R naught is about 1.2 right now.
Okay.
But it's a 1.2 of a very small number.
Yeah.
But again, vaccinated, what does that really mean in terms of, you know, the impact? And
Right.
I think moving forward for a while, it's gonna be, let's reassess, so I think we're just gonna have to live with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we say suggested now, and we might have to go back to mandatory, or might, 6 months later, it's over, who knows, but I think it's gonna be, we're gonna have to, it's not set in stone, I think, but we're good with
We'll
it.
pivot as necessary.
Right, yeah.
But I'm hearing the consensus is going to suggested and not mandatory, and just to change those signs, Nancy, at the entrances there.
I'll have new signs made up.
Until such time as we need to change
You
it.
should make a resolution.
Did we do that for the other one?
No, we did not.
We
We
did
did not?
So,
No.
let's just,
So
yeah.
we're just doing verbally?
Executive order by the mayor, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Oh, no. He's-
My scepter.
He's exerting
Okay,
his power.
any other new business? Okay, hearing none, moving on to miscellaneous discussions and approvals. Okay, hearing none. Reading and approval of minutes. Executive session meeting from October 26, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mayor, you open to a consent for the four of them?
I guess I am.
Okay.
We'll change that. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the executive session, October 22nd, regular meeting minutes of October 22nd, sorry, 26th, strike that, for both special executive session meeting November 18th and the special meeting of November 18th. Do I have a motion to approve all of those?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Thanks.
Council President Corleano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deidre?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to ordinances, public hearing of ordinance 1106, 2021, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of certain property located within the borough of Peapack and Gladstone, Block 8, Lot 2.03, which is 16 School Street.
AKA the Nelson property.
Right, the Nelson property. Do I have a motion to open a public hearing of ordinance 1106, 2021?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call vote to open up the public hearing, please.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corleano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deidre?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, Andrew, would you like to make a comment on this ordinance?
No.
Okay, I have a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 1106.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote?
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corleano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deidre?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1106, 2021?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corleano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deidre?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 1106, 2021 is adopted and shall be published by title only in the Bernalston News in accordance with law. Moving to resolutions, do we want to do a consent agenda for resolutions 199 through 205?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, do I have a motion to approve resolutions 199 through 2005-21?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corleano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deidre?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, those move. Resolution 2008-21, resolution reinstating Peapack and Gladstone Police Chief Stephen Ferranti effective immediately. So I have a motion to approve resolution 2008-21.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corleano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deidre?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Resolution 209-21, resolution relieving Sergeant Thomas Scanlon from his duties as officer in charge of the police department. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2009-21?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Mayor, I have a quick question on this one. Would the council be open to adding a clause in this, whereas the council wishes to thank Sergeant Scanlon for his guidance of the department over the last 2 months? Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's
Okay, Nancy.
inappropriate for a resolution at all.
So I would make a motion to pass
To
the
amend it?
resolution as amended.
There needs to be a second to that motion.
Do I have a second to the amendment?
Second.
Roll call on the amended resolution 209-21. Is that?
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corleano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deidre?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
And who will make the appropriate notifications?
I will I'll make 2 phone calls right after the meeting.
Okay. Bills list, resolution 2006-21, approval of bills as signed and listed on the bill payment list. Can you please read the amount? Just
$822,704.48 cents.
that's why I didn't read it. Is there any item that needs to be pulled for discussion? Okay, motion to approve resolution 206-21.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corleano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deidre?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to council reports, finance,
No report, Mayor.
sanitation and sewer,
No report, Mayor.
borough property.
Yes, Mayor, we have some developments on Liberty Park, an update. First of all, small thing, we're still waiting for the striping to be finalized on Jackson Avenue, the repaving that happened a couple of weeks ago. And as far as Liberty Park progress goes, we've been seeing the roller coaster continue. Down at the park, we had a long meeting today with Nancy and with Dan McGill and with Carter Van Dyke and Lucinda Bartley and the mayor and Don Lemon, myself, to go over some of the points and to get some information about what the latest status is. There have been some things happening there that are to be welcomed, and some others not so much. I'll start with the developments that need to be adjusted and corrected going forward. V&K Construction took it upon itself to plant 6 trees, which we decided was not a good idea. Carter Van Dyke was not notified of this and didn't approve it. Therefore, he said that the trees would need to be removed. V&K requested that the removal date be pushed to the spring as opposed to immediately, which is okay. Carter Van Dyke said that, but the purchase and the labor going into putting those trees in and taking them out is of course on V&K because it was their misstep.
Were they even the type of trees that were planned to be there?
We didn't specify that. Presumably they were. I have to assume that they were working from the plan
Okay.
that Carter Van Dyke and Associates provided. But I don't know that, and we didn't have any confirmation, unless I missed it in the meeting. Don, Mayor, Nancy?
I can tell you, they are the trees that were originally planned to be there, and they realized, Carter did not realize how much sun was going to be there, and those trees do not take the sun, and that's when they told them not to plant them. They went ahead and planted them, by mistake, or however they did it.
So that's
They
how
went
the
ahead and planted them.
misunderstanding happened.
So they're going to pull them out in the spring, and there will be a different type of tree that can handle the sun that will come there,
Okay.
planted.
I'm
And
really
that-
So we're
crazy about
surrogate
Ca-
planting
I'm
the
really
trees.
crazy about Carter not being aware of how much sun was gonna be hitting the
Yeah,
trees.
that's surprising.
Right.
I mean,
That's
to me, that's a
surprising.
level of
Should've
expertise
known
that
Well,
you'd
because
expect.
I think there was 2 other trees that came down, the 2 oak trees that came.
The 2
that were
pin
coming
oaks?
down- Yeah, that were coming down, that would have shaded some of those areas a little bit more, and they're not.
That's a nice segue into the second point that was addressed today, which is that the third large pin oak that's about 100 years old in the park is ailing and needs to go. It's a question of sooner or later. Carter Van Dyke strongly suggests that we do it sooner rather than later, because if we plant, of course, beneath that tree and then we take it down, it's gonna cause damage that has to go back and be revisited again. So that's a surprise. That's going to require a change work order to take out the remaining pin oak. Will probably cost a couple of $1,000s to do that we hadn't been counting on spending. And then to replace those pin oaks, there will be a change work order coming to replace them with something more substantial, because they are such an important part of the viewscape. To kind of use larger size trees, 4.5 to 5.5 inch
More
caliber
mature.
trees. More mature tree, which costs about $1,500 a tree. So stand by as those change work orders and the final numbers are assembled, and they will be brought to us, of course, for review and approval. And
They didn't
concurrence.
realize that was a compromised tree at the time when they developed the plan?
No, they didn't. They did some, the arborist did some preliminary investigative work, but they didn't determine the extent of it. And there was some storm action in recent months, and a couple of limbs came down exposing the inside of those pin oaks. So they're not forever, we know that. It's a sad loss. But on the other hand, we'll be replacing them with some strong, healthy trees that will grow in and will be, for the future, much better, more durable solutions.
Gotta
So,
euthanize a tree.
I have a question about the park, GP.
yes.
I know, I see on the bills list that we have a bill in for Glenville Electric for
Yes.
removing the lighting in the park.
Yes.
And I saw that that was done.
Yes, well, there are a
Okay.
couple of things with moving electric.
What I did not see when I drove
Yes.
past the park was that ugly electrical assembly by the flagpole is not gone.
That's-
Right.
Yeah.
We
Stop.
talked.
Why was that not gone when they took out the lights? I mean,
Well, they're working on that. The question is, where is that going to go? Because that junction box is apparently important for distributing the power to other satellite locations in the park. And the idea is to remove that ugly box next to the water's edge and put it basically next to the, by the crosswalk, almost where the crosswalk is, a little bit towards Cocoa Lux from the crosswalk, and put a junction box inside that slope that's sticking out of the ground a little bit, but it would be invisible to the eye from the sidewalk looking into the park. You wouldn't see any of this. And from there, having the underground conduit distributed through the rest of the park. So it's a much more elegant solution, and it's coming. But they're still
That
finalizing
was
the
never
design
in-
specs
That was
on it.
never in his plan?
It was never in the plan, no.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I thought the underground wiring for the new lighting was in the plan.
Yes, it was to the poles, around the park certainly, but coming into the park, it was not.
It's a junction box.
So to that junction box, which is that ugly box, which is
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
It's
replaced.
gonna be clearly mapped out so that when somebody takes a shovel out there, that we don't have another gas line break, and they're gonna hit the
That was
electricity.
another point of discussion today about the gas line rupture and how that could have occurred. Apparently, the markout wasn't done properly, and the contractors may or may not have hit it. We don't know that. We're presuming it is. Seems a little too coincidental that somebody else would rupture a gas line in that location the same day that V&K was digging in the park, so it's likely that they hit the gas line. But that's subject to confirmation, and it's frankly water under the bridge. It's done. First responders, police, everyone responded beautifully, and thankfully no real damage was done. Nobody got hurt. And any costs that are incurred, PSE&G comes back and says, here's the bill for the repair work. That's on the contractor and not on the municipality.
Unless they were digging where they were allowed to and it was marked out improperly, then it's on the
Then it's
utility
on
company.
But that's a
PSE&G.
dispute between those two parties.
Right.
Correct.
We're not in the
Yeah.
middle of it, right?
So there've been some unfortunate things that have happened in recent weeks. But I think we're largely on track, and Don brought up some good points about grading issues and water pooling and things like that. It was reviewed pretty extensively and discussed extensively that the final grading should reflect water mitigation measures so that there is no pooling or ponding. We should be able to walk through there with dignity.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Is that referring to the geese as well?
Yeah, that's referring to the geese as well. Yeah, thankfully, have decided that elsewhere it looks more attractive. And then there was one other issue that came up that is fairly substantial, and that's a question of grading and pitch over by the Scout Cabin, where Lackawanna meets Park Avenue. That section is not pitched and not graded properly and hasn't been for a long time. And apparently there's a sheet flow issue with water coming down Lackawanna and gaining velocity and then going into the park and rinsing things away. And so Carter's working on a design, an upgraded design to account for that, and also to put in the curbing there to hold in the walking pads in a way that looks like it's from the origins of the park design, so that you're not looking at concrete ledges and things to hold back the granite cobblestones. So that will be a better solution. It's a little bit of an upgrade from what we'd originally thought. We thought it would be simpler, but it's not because of the grading and the pitch there, but he's working on it.
And that's gonna go through the borough attorney also, right?
That's gonna go to the borough engineer
Oh,
for review.
borough engineer,
Borough
yeah,
engineer
sorry.
for your
I
bill
had an
ride.
attorney on my mind, sorry.
Yeah, and it
Let's
was,
talk about
Jack of all trades there.
Grading.
John Bruder would be happy to renew it and bill for it, I'm sure.
I
I
meant the
think I
engineer.
agree with the grading over here.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the reason that it's important for Bill Ride and the engineer to review it is because he is up on all the latest standards coming from the DEP. Obviously, we don't want to touch DEP with a 10-foot pole, and anything that smacks of runoff going into the pond is going to trigger some more critical review, which we of course want to avoid.
Where would that water drain to, if not the pond?
We're not asking those
Um,
questions. on
well,
Don't ask what those
Yeah,
questions.
it's gonna go right into the brook first, that's where it should go, so anyway, those are questions that we brought up and addressed. There are some other things that were not overtly discussed in today's meeting, but which are still a part of it, like the Scout Cabin, and how the Scout Cabin will increase its usefulness going forward. We went back and revisited, and I don't know if Nancy has any updated information. I didn't get a chance to confer with her about that, about insulating the Scout Cabin and also providing it with heating and air conditioning the space so that it becomes a 3-season facility.
Dan is working on that, getting that information.
Okay, so Dan's getting that information, compiling it. We made a recommendation, I think Will Hildinger made a recommendation about it will require likely upgraded electrical service into the cabin, which would mean an underground conduit. to supply the cabin with increased amperage to satisfy the heating and cooling requirements. Obviously, the time to do that is now. So that looks like it's good, and with any kind of luck, we'll have the handicapped ramp and the parking space and everything in the scout cabin done in a way that will look of a piece. So we're moving forward. It's not as bump-free as we would have liked, but okay, I think we're back on track. One last thing too that needs to be addressed and will likely result in a change work order going forward is that apparently the water supply that comes from the well into the ponds that operates on the float mechanism, there needs to be some kind of an anti-siphon or almost like a backflow valve to be installed there to prevent water, obviously, from the pond going in the wrong direction back towards the wellhead. I don't know why that was never done, but apparently the plumbing
It has
inspector
nothing-
flagged it.
The plumbing inspector did, and I spoke with Frank today. He said it's basically because they're putting in a new irrigation line, and it's so that the line from the irrigation doesn't get pumped back into the well water and to go down into the,
Okay.
so that's what it is. So it was not something that was done incorrectly at the time of the well, but now that we're putting in an irrigation,
We need to upgrade.
we need to upgrade it.
Got it, so,
So that's about
Okay.
$2,200.
I'm sorry?
It's about $2,200.
$2,200,
Put a
okay.
one-way valve with the.
It's a special one.
Starting to
I
feel
think
like
so.
Mr. Blanket
So,
here.
but so far so good. It's messy. Anytime you're making an omelet, you have to break some eggs, that's
So,
true.
GP, you should mention that this week the site is cleaned up nicely.
Yeah.
The site is clean and messy. Don has got his fingers on the pulse much more closely than I am because he's in town and I'm not, more days than not. That having been said, and we also tightened up the supervision and the workflow and the communication where there's a punch list that's created at the end of every week so that Dan McGill knows what he's looking for and looking at. He in turn will report right back to Nancy, who takes that punch list and says they're either on track or they're not. If so, why? And if not, why not? And then she in turn, Nancy, will coordinate with Carter Van Dyke and Lucinda Bartley, who comes in every 2 weeks, so that we tighten up the communication and the expectations all around. That's the idea, to make the whole process flow a little bit more smoothly than it has been up until now. But we're trending in the right direction, no question.
One quick question, I forgot to ask that today, and I asked Nancy yesterday or the day before. Is there a plan to put an evergreen tree in there? Because
For Christmas?
yes, not for this Christmas, but I mean moving forward.
I think so. I think there is a plan
Okay.
to put one in.
Okay.
We'll take a look at the plans, and
Anyway.
Mayor made a suggestion too, that electronically we should have an image that's more prominent on our website, so that residents, when they get antsy, itchy, or insecure about what they're seeing, or what they should be seeing, or what they should be waiting for, that they have the vision in front of them. Say, okay, this is where we're going. So, we're gonna do that, update that too, as soon as the image comes over the transom from Carter Van Dyke or from Lucinda Bartley.
That's good.
I think for the park, that's about it, so stand by for the updates as those things change. And also, we got one accounting change as well, in terms of billing, because apparently Carter Van Dyke had been taking over some of the scope of work that we had originally assigned to Princeton Hydro. And Princeton Hydro, like permitting, things like that, and some design changes, and so Carter Van Dyke was running over budget, and Princeton Hydro was running under budget, so the idea was to take what we had allocated to Princeton Hydro, shift it over to Carter Van Dyke to pay them for their services. Everyone's happy, and there's no net increase in cost to the municipality. Basically just shifting the line items. And then one last thing too, as long as we're on the park and property, my understanding is that Dan McGill is still working on a punch list for repairs to the dentist's house. You remember that the dentist moved out and left behind a bit of a mess, and we're withholding the security deposit for the lease and all of that. The dentist, I think, if I'm understanding correctly, Nancy, and please feel free to jump in and correct me at any time, the dentist magnanimously offered to come in and do the repairs, but we're not doing that.
He did.
We're going to control the repairs so that we make sure that they're done properly, and when all is said and done, we'll take whatever the repairs cost us, and the difference will be refunded to the dentist.
Take it, there are holes in the floor where the chairs came up in the lake.
Correct.
That email came over the wire today.
Yeah, it came late this afternoon. Dan sent it out.
So that's where that is, so stand by, we should know more by our next
And do we
meeting.
know the extent of the damage to that house? Because I know in a previous meeting it was
I tried to get a number from Dan McGill, he's still putting it together, so
The-
the short answer is no, unless you
The
know
email,
more than I.
the email did come today.
Oh, it did?
With pricing on it.
Okay, I'm sorry,
So
I
we
didn't
did.
see that because
Yeah,
I was up to
it
here
came later
today.
this afternoon, so.
Okay.
And he
And
said
do
he
we
was,
have a
he was
number?
in there when he
What?
saw the
Do we have a
board.
number?
I think $2,200.
No, I think
Yeah.
that wasn't it was
That
a little
sounds-
bit
that
more
sounds
than that,
modest. Seems
plus,
very modest.
That
plus
seems-
salary,
Oh, plus labor.
plus labor.
Okay.
Plus
Yeah.
Still though, I mean,
Labor's
my
fine.
impression from our last meeting was like, it was like tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage.
I'm surprised it's that low, but okay, do
That's
we have
like
enough with the
22
security
materials.
deposit to cover it?
Right.
We
Okay.
have,
Sorry,
I think the security deposit,
Thir-
don't quote me, I
38?
think it was 56.
56?
So
we should be
we should be
covered.
right around, if not,
Okay, let's
a
make sure
little
that
over than
that's
that.
really done
Right.
properly.
Sounds like the attorney built in a good security deposit number.
Yeah.
There's some ethics charges with
right?
the attorney involved.
You didn't write that contract.
He's padding
Or was
his
that the
own-
engineer?
No,
Oh,
but-
it's not the
Formula.
end. Nancy,
Anyway.
can you just send
I-
me that, whatever the letter that came in today? I wanna kinda just keep track of that as we go to make sure.
I think
the
that's about
security
it
deposit is-
for property.
Council, might I interrupt you in the middle of reports? If you don't mind, I have family in from out of town.
Oh.
They're at a local restaurant with my wife with Carolyn having dinner. Would you excuse me for the remainder of
Nope,
the
you
meeting?
have to stay.
Really?
Mark,
Go, enjoy.
Mark.
Are we all invited?
Invoke the Simpson rule.
We're moving
Yeah,
the meeting.
yeah.
This
I
is-
haven't had dinner, GP said he
My
had.
my
He's
family's
been
in
eating
there.
these.
Where are we going?
Amy's trying to feed me
That
meat.
Christmas, that holiday party you wanted to do? We're going tonight.
Simpson would start an
You're all welcome to come join me, but it's,
Enjoy.
Throw his books in his bag and leave.
Right.
No,
this is
go,
my only
enjoy.
Wasn't
chance to
angry,
see them.
just started
Don't
Until
even,
next year.
don't even think twice. Go.
So back to property real quick.
Wait,
The-
hold on.
the-
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Oh, yeah,
Thanksgiving.
have a great Thanksgiving.
Have a good one, Mark.
What
You
time
and your
should we be at
families.
your house on Thanksgiving?
Whatever time you'd like, you come.
Yeah, you won't be there. Show up anytime you want.
I'll be there.
All right,
Thanks, everyone.
okay,
Alright.
good night.
Enjoy dinner.
So the
Yes.
snowman and the Santa Claus that we get quite a few complaints about, because they are a little scary.
Complaints about the
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yes.
Scary?
Have you seen the Santa?
It's like a meth Santa?
Well,
Not the
it's a
Santa
little,
that
it's a
shows
little
up.
bit funny. It's a little funny looking, and I mean, my kids are over it now, but there were tears.
It's just
I'm
very
kidding,
dated.
there were tears.
They're-
It's
they're
really,
dated
well, the
people.
Santa especially.
Well, if your kids are scared,
I'm
on
I'm kidding,
On
but-
December 5th, they're really gonna be scared because somebody's substituting for the mayor.
Oh, no, God.
Bad Santa, right here.
Bad
Is that
Santa.
what it's starting from?
So
I
I don't know,
actually
but I
am
feel like
growing
we
it in,
could
so I have a
use the
base
cutouts,
underneath.
but maybe commission a local artist to like redo them.
Yeah,
Because
know,
I really, I
don't-
mean, Amy, I think you've gotten complaints too.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
just
think
because
heard
we
this
were in the younger kid
pre-COVID,
realm for
and
a
then,
while.
you know, we never went back to it, but yes, I
Yeah.
heard that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
Santa descent in town.
yeah, it's
But we're
true.
not, they're not, wait, where do they go? They're not in the park.
They're in the park usually.
Yeah,
So
but
they
they're-
won't be this year, so I'm
they're-
saying this might be a great year to
Right.
You know,
commission to have them
it's a
repainted.
coming of age thing for kids to cry hysterically on Santa's lap.
Well, yes,
the
I mean, my
first
kids
time.
did. I think they cried on your lap, they cried on Bill Simpson's lap. I mean, that, done.
Maybe we just don't
Do you
pull them
have
out
any-
this year,
Well, that's
Well,
what I'm
they're
saying.
not in
Don't
the
put them
park.
out this year, but maybe commission a local artist to repaint them.
for next year.
For next
Right,
year.
Yeah,
Or go to Amazon.
yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
Well,
the
they're
park's
nice big
closed,
wood
so-
ones,
Right.
so they could be repainted.
No, I think it's a good idea. Did you have anyone in mind or anyone we can reach out to?
I don't know. Does Meg do like artist stuff?
No, she's busy on the logo.
Yeah.
We don't wanna
I mean, she
overtax her.
designs, but
Right.
I
That'll
don't
be a
know
good
that-
August project.
Yeah, that's
Call
a
it
big-
high school and find out who's good in art class.
Okay.
Right.
PG.
But
Whose
yeah,
daughter,
I think it's a good
Lisa,
idea.
Oh, Striger.
Yeah,
Strager's
maybe-
daughter is a wonderful artist.
Maybe if we get a hold of the art teacher, it could be a project
Right.
for them at the high school.
Yeah.
That could be really fun.
Community
See, next time
service
I work at
hours.
the high
Bill
school
has
as
a
an
great
SRO,
program.
I'll
Right.
check with the art, some of their.
Well, it could be a
development.
fun little project for the
Yeah.
school. Anyway, just a
I like
thought.
the idea.
It's a good idea.
Speaking of, not to circle
Yes.
back to that, what are we doing for a tree this year? Out
We
here?
are getting, I
Dan-
spoke with Dan today, we are getting trees.
Dan's ordered one.
Oh, they did, okay, we're getting trees from, not Dan McGill. Dan Dolan came to me and
Oh,
told,
okay.
and
What
said
deal?
that yeah. So Dan McGill was gonna get the trees from whoever they got the trees from last year, they're gonna get one again for the lime kiln and one to put out in the back here, so that when
When they do
Okay.
Santa
Santa.
comes up
Did
and
they
to light it back.
reach out to the owners of the Dower Farm?
I think that's who they were.
Okay, because they'll definitely
going to.
donate big trees. They want to get rid of the big trees.
I think
or at
that's who
least
they
did
were
last year.
going to,
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's who he was going to.
We're having a tree out here.
We're gonna have a tree in the
Okay,
back,
so we
yes.
need- All right,
By next Sunday, there will be a tree
excellent.
back there.
Fire and EMS.
No updates. We're still waiting for updated numbers on, the rescue truck, and then after we get those updated numbers, we can decide as a council whether it's just time to vote on, spending that money for the firehouse.
Just FYI, Jamie, we were down at the League last week in Atlantic City, and of course, they had an enormous display of fire apparatus and other things. And we had some good conversations. Brad Fagan was there too, so he was also gathering materials and information.
Okay.
So there should be some more data points coming together.
Right,
So.
yeah, and hopefully the firehouse is collecting that, they were,
I know they had a meeting today with a vendor.
oh, great. Do you know which one, was it Rescue Fit, the?
No, it was
Yeah.
Ferreira, whoever makes those.
Okay,
Oh, because the deputy
FF1.
chief was doing some work at my house in
Oh,
case he
nice.
was.
Okay.
He's getting paid.
yeah,
there's
so
no,
they're getting,
there's no-
they're out
yeah.
there looking for numbers, and then we can
Yeah.
make a decision.
All right, police.
Just one item. I circulated the narrative police report that Sergeant Scanlon prepared to everyone. And one of the things in that report just really jumped out at me, that it's a little bit scary
The
for
fraud?
for this area, but they said the officers received a harassment terroristic threat complaint against juveniles in the borough, and then an investigation resulted in the application of a temporary extreme risk protective order, which is something
It's
I've
new.
never
Yeah.
It's new.
Yeah, what is
I-
that?
That is, well, do you want to finish?
Well,
No,
yeah, sorry.
when we
Well,
get to that.
but it also resulted in 31 firearms being seized from this
I
Burnsville
know.
resident who was the subject of the order. So, I mean, as Simpson used to refer to this as bucalia, I mean, we certainly have some issues even in this area.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, a great result, responding to those complaints there.
So this order is if, for years there's been if, spouses or dating people or whatever for domestic violence, you could, somebody makes a complaint and then, a restraining order is applied against the significant other, but there was no mechanism for anybody else. So to boil it down, and this is new since I've retired, but I still have to deal with it in my part-time job, but, so if somebody feels threatened by somebody who's not related to them or hears something, then they would go to the police, and then the police would apply for this relief. And then it's in front of a judge, you explain what goes on, and then the judge grants it. So if there's weapons, now the weapons might not have been involved, but they could be just they're at the place. And they might not be the weapons of the person who is doing the harassing, they could be, let's say, a parent or somebody they're also living with. So,
Something
but-
they had access to. also.
or maybe not, but they take the weapons for safekeeping. So if,
Because they're within reach of the.
because
person
they're
who's
within
doing
reach.
it.
That's what I'm saying.
So if that person can, if the person can appeal to the prosecutor's office or to the judge and say, hey, they're in a safe, only I have access to it, they will probably get them back. But they're taken, initially just for safekeeping until the things are figured out what's going on. Now, if they belong to the person that was doing the harassing, a whole different story. They probably won't be given back or whatever, unless this whole thing is, it was a misunderstanding or whatever. But that's what that process goes through. It's time and labor intensive, obviously taking 37 firearms, you're not throwing 3 of them in the back of a car. There's cataloging them, and then, they're, from my understanding, they're up in headquarters, so someplace. So there's a lot that went into that, a lot of person hours and time and, conferences with the judge and et cetera, so forth. So it's new. I mean, it's new for everybody in law enforcement. So it's our first one in Peapack And Gladstone. So that's
But
what
anyway,
that was.
I just wanted to single that out, and I mean, obviously, gonna have Sergeant Scanlon continue doing this. He's more than happy to do it, and I think it really sheds light in terms of what our department is doing, on a regular basis. Similar to the fire company reports. I mean, they tell you exactly what's happening, and I think this is important. Everyone's aware of what's happening. It's not just pulling over speeders on 206.
Right, are they gonna move forward with the blotter at the Burnsville News?
You know what, if,
Yeah.
I'll talk to him, maybe he can certainly forward it on department letterhead to Charlie at the paper.
Right, just wondering.
Okay, roads and transportation.
Nothing.
Nothing for zoning, although those issues with the restaurants are being taken care of. Legal,
No matters to report on tonight.
administrator.
No report.
Other than Councilperson Sweeney alluded to the fact that we have our holiday Christmas parade, Santa arrival, and all the above
Sunday the 5th.
On Sunday the 5th. A great time in town. So,
Come in and, bring your fresh fruit to throw at me.
Pretty small kids.
Big target.
Okay, moving on to public comments, 3 minutes per person for agenda items only. It's the policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 3 minutes. For agenda items only, no debating between residents. Comments should be addressed to the mayor and council. Andrew? Don't mean to single you out, but
You're gonna have to do that for every resident that's in here from now on, because you set the precedent.
I did, you're right. Okay, closing public comment section. Is there any further business? Of the
Is there
council?
anything we can appoint Mark to while he's not here?
Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Guess I don't hear any opposed. Mayor and council, the next meeting will be December 14th at 7 PM here in Borough Hall. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.